Hi.
Hey, everybody. Good evening, and welcome back to the next episode of On the Verge. And thank you all for joining us. We have some amazing guests tonight that we're going to talk about a topic that's near and dear to all of our hearts, at least to the conservative side, and that's guns and Measure 114. And I probably don't go through more than 3 days of my life without being asked about something about Measure 114. So tonight is everybody's opportunity to get online and ask those questions, and if nothing else, listen to what we have to say. We've got some people here that are very well qualified to answer the questions. So we'll get to them in just a second. But first off, again, you are now joining us on The Verge. We are the conservative voice of Southern Oregon, and we are the truth in podcasting, no matter what anybody happens to tell you. We only tell the truth here. And if you don't like our podcast, that's fine. As I always say, please don't watch us. Go ahead and come down here and see Justin at Little Mill Media. He'll put together a podcast for you. And, good luck. It's not that expensive, but we love our podcast, and we have a lot of followers. And please like and follow us as you go. With all that, I want to also introduce a few of our sponsors. Tonight we have Becky Holm Insurance as one of our sponsors. Andrea Williams Advocare is another sponsor. And officially as of tonight, Senator David Brock Smith, who'd probably be joining us watching us anyway, he is now officially one of our sponsors as well as Little Mill Media. And Twin Peaks Off-Road, that's my company. And if you are interested in being a sponsor for a conservative podcast, this podcast is reaching a lot of people, and I want to give you some analytics just to kind of tell you where we're at, and this might make you want to join us. In the last 60 days, we've reached 650,000 people. In the last 90 days, we've reached 1.2 million people, and in the last 7 days, 150,000 people. So just one of my posts on Facebook hit 48,000 people. So this podcast is growing. We're getting our message out. It's a conservative message, and if you would like to be part of that message, please join us and definitely like and follow us. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, Amazon Music, 13 other platforms, something along those lines that some of them I don't even know. But anyway, with all that said, I would like to introduce my guests tonight, and I'm going to start out with Derek. Derek, please introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So my name is Derek LeBlanc, and I'm a gun rights advocate here in Oregon. I'm based in Eugene, and so I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of years kind of following Tony Aiello around and reporting on Measure 114 and all the happenings around the state. And I'm glad to be here to kind of speak more about that.
Thanks, Derek. And Derek and I have known each other since about 23, I think, when we were working on those gun bills in the House. And at that time, I was kind of the resident House representative that was the gun expert, and Derek and I have met a lot. He was always, and I've told him 1,000 times, you can come to my office any day. You don't even need to make an appointment. Now I've handed off some of that to Representative Scarlatos because he's even more of a gun guy than me. But anyway, so thanks for joining us, Derek. Tony, tell us who you are.
Yeah, my name is Tony Aiello Jr. I am a senior associate at Tyler Smith and Associates. It's a law firm in Canby. I'm the lead counsel on the state court case, Arnold versus Kotek, against ballot measure 114, and that's the case that was just argued at the Oregon Supreme Court on November 6th of this year.
Tony, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Yeah. You're doing amazing work. I watched some of your what you had to say. I don't know if you call it testimony, I guess, whatever it is, questions and answers, and we're very lucky to have you on our side. I think it's amazing. So thank you so much for that. And also my co-host and ever present here is Trent. Trent, who are you?
Trent Drake, and I am the chair for the Douglas County Republican Central Committee and Virgil's campaign manager. And man, it's great to have both you guys here.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite subjects.
What's Tony charging by the hour? Is it?
if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
That's probably true.
I'm in for a cheeseburger.
So a couple things. I went to, and I haven't done this in a while, but I pulled up a copy of the Oregon Constitution today, and I read, I was having a conversation with one of our commissioners about it, actually, and I read Section 27, and I want to read that just to start out the conversation. Section 27 of the Oregon Constitution: the people have the right to bear arms for the defense of themselves and the state, but the military shall be kept in strict subordination to civil power. So it doesn't say anything about the type of guns that we're able to carry. That doesn't say anything about how many rounds of magazine that we can have, all of that. Now, that is the Oregon state constitution. The federal constitution is actually different than that. And probably, I guess maybe Tony, let's just start out there. What is the difference with the Oregon Constitution compared to the federal Constitution in your mind?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I mean, we here in Oregon became a state about a little less than 100 years later than the country was formed. And so you'll see a lot in our Constitution where there's less flowery language. When I was in high school, the debate was, well, the Second Amendment only applies to the militia. We dispensed with all that here in Oregon. We saw in the early parts of our country a lot of British influence because our founders were of British descent, and so there's a lot more pomp and circumstance around words. And then out here in the West, we were, for want of a better term, rednecks who just wrote down what we meant, and it said they have the right to bear arms, and they said what they meant, and they meant what they said, and they didn't feel the need to debate comma placement or anything like that. So it's a lot simpler and more forward. The tests also differ quite a bit as interpreted by the courts.
So I personally think that the Oregon Constitution is better said than the federal Constitution. More well said. I don't know how you say that. Anyway, so with that, I think one of the big questions that I have. Let me back up a second. Anybody online that's watching, if you have a question, we'll try to get to it. But tonight is the night. And I know, because I get literally probably hundreds of questions. There are some questions out there that I can't answer, but these guys can definitely put us in the right direction. But the biggest question I get asked, and probably the biggest misunderstanding, is there's a difference between the case that you are working on and the other bigger case, which potentially could, I guess, a fallback, so to speak. So could you explain the difference between a state case and a federal case, and what exactly is going on there?
Yeah, so when courts interpret law and hear cases and controversies, they're bound by their jurisdiction. And so the federal courts have jurisdiction over federal questions. The state courts have jurisdiction over state law questions. And so you look at the assertion, what is being violated? And here we've alleged an Article 1, Section 27 claim. That means the highest court that interprets Oregon's Constitution is the Oregon Supreme Court. Meanwhile, sometimes you'll see the folks who really nerd out on this will know about Gators Custom Guns. That was brought under both. That's a Washington case that was brought under both the state and federal constitutions. And so that one has now gone up to the U.S. Supreme Court. We're waiting to find out if it'll be heard, but they're only going to be interpreting the Second Amendment question, not the Washington state constitution. And so our case was brought only under the state constitution for a couple of reasons. The main one being there was already a state or a federal court case. And so the Judge Rashio's rulings would be impacted by those made by the U.S. District Court and so on and so forth during the litigation. But that couldn't happen if we were just under the state constitution. The other reason is Oregon's constitution, in several respects, most notably Article 1, Section 8, which is Oregon's free speech provision, has been interpreted by Oregon's Supreme Court to be stronger than the First Amendment. So it covers everything the First Amendment does, plus it puts greater restrictions on government. And that's how I read Article 1, Section 27.
Gotcha. There is a question here that is kind of pertinent to what's going on. So Jane Brown asks, so is the recent workaround legal that Kotek just signed into law? I don't know the answer to that.
All right. So I've been trying to say this as many places as I can. It's not a workaround. All it does, they're asking about Senate Bill 243.
Yes.
And Senate Bill 243 has three parts. I'm not going to talk about the first two a ton, but they are restrictions on so-called rapid fire activators, and then an anti-preemption portion of the law that allows but does not require local governments to restrict concealed handgun license holders on government property. The third part is a change in the effective date of ballot measure 114. Ballot measure 114 has never gone into effect. It was supposed to on December 8th, 2022. So the question I got asked most during the period of the injunction is, yeah, but what happens to the magazine that I bought on December 9th with a December 8th effective date if you lose? And I said, well, first of all, I don't intend to lose. Second of all,
Good answer.
if we did lose, I don't know. Talk to a criminal defense attorney. I've talked to some criminal defense attorneys since then, and their impression is that the effective date has now moved to the date the law actually goes into effect. We don't know when that will be or if it will be. And so what Senate Bill 243, the third part did was it moved that effective date to March 15th of 2026. And so it removes all question that before I didn't know which way it would go, and the criminal defense attorneys had opinions, but it moved that 3 years plus in the future, so we don't have to have arguments about when the effective date was. I also think it was the legislature's kind of not so subtle way of saying, please, Supreme Court, decide this before March.
Yeah, of course.
Which is extremely unlikely. That's the other question I get asked. How long until we get a decision? Popular wisdom among attorneys is 9 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And I don't expect it to be different.
Derek, you have your hand up, and honestly, you don't have to put your hand up. Just interrupt. It's just
Yeah,
Well, I
especially
didn't
if
want to
I'm
interrupt.
talking.
No, I just want to talk about the governor and what she did, I think last week or week before. And I think what is important for us to know as gun owners is how the process works. And so for Senate Bill 243 to go into effect as of 9/26, that's the first parts that it's the rapid fire device ban, the bump stocks, the preemption part of the bill. So that goes into effect 91 days after her signature, after it passes both chambers in the Oregon legislature. And so my thing is, when she puts out this post and does this dog and pony show, it's because she's failing in her poll numbers, and it's a way for her to bring in her base to make sure that they're still rallied to support her, because she then launched her next reelection bid. So that's where, as conservatives, libertarians, moderate Democrats, we have to see this for what it is, and it's a typical dog and pony show.
Yeah, and I got to say that for those of you who don't know Derek and I, well, me being in the House, and again, I am your House district representative from House District 2. Watching the red shirts roll into the House just pisses me off. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word, but you have these people that come there, they're just anti-gun. They're not anti. They don't. It's not like they want to change the gun laws. They want to take them away from you. Period.
Yep.
Because they don't want you to have them. And Derek and his group of folks that come in, it's kind of like, it's funny to watch, because so many people will come in with Derek and they'll try to grab all the seats in the chamber before those guys get a chance. So it kind of matters. But I think we all should remember that the Oregon legislatures who did this to us,
right.
And frankly, Kotek as well. She's just going along with her party. But Senator Prozansky, House Representative Crow. They're the ones that brought these things to committee, and they're the ones that passed them out of committee. And there are no Republicans that I can recall that voted yes on any of these ridiculous gun bills. Now, of course, Measure 114 was on the ballot. That's a whole different story. But we killed two of them. We killed two bad bills last session, but 243 got through. And I think part of 243 was modified by Senator Brock Smith, and his amendment to it helped a lot to kind of slow things down. And I'm giving him credit, but there was other senators involved in it too. But the fight is real, and your vote counts. Why we can't vote Prozansky out of office, I don't know. We need to put in people that actually care about our rights.
Yeah. And he's come out and said he's got a whole new batch ready for the short session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
it's ugly. we did a little research on short session bills coming up. I didn't hear any gun bills, but I'm sure. But there's a lot of bad coming. I mean, short session, for those of you who don't really know how the legislature works, it's supposed to be a roughly 5 week session that corrects budget bills and goes back and looks at things and if there's any amendments that need to be. But that's not how the majority party's handling it anymore. They are the bullies on the block, so they just run whatever bill they want. Today, I'm the House Whip, so I sat in on the Rules Committee today for the Chamber rules for the House, and once again, it's like the Democrats are just going to try to bowl us over. Yep. So if you don't like the way the state's being ran, then by all means vote for Criminy. Just vote. I have some comments. You guys have probably seen the comments too. See Jane Brown. See, thanks Tyler. So to be clear for others, until the court decides 114 is still under injunction and cannot become law, correct?
Yes. So the way it works is the Oregon Supreme Court will issue an opinion. That opinion will either agree with Judge Ratio, in which case everything stays the same, or it will reverse Judge Ratio and instruct Judge Ratio to lift his own injunction. That's how that part of it works. Now, what I expect from the trial court is Judge Ratio has been, well, first of all, he's a sole judge over 2 counties. They're sparsely populated counties, but that means he's handling every criminal defense case, probate case, neighbor dispute, lot line dispute. I mean, he's a busy man over 2 counties. And so what he's been really good at is saying, I will announce my ruling on such and such date, so that the folks involved have some indication of when the change will happen. So what I expect but can't guarantee is that when the opinion comes out, if it doesn't go our way, Judge Ratio will tell the lawyers, get me a judgment by such and such date. I will sign it, 3 days later.
Gotcha.
So we'll have some warning.
Gotcha. I had a question come in. I can't watch the YouTube channel at the same time, so I don't see those questions, but I think Justin sent me over the picture or the question. It says the question, this is from Rusty on YouTube. Can a county sheriff override, disregard unconstitutional laws imposed by the state?
Derek, have you looked into sanctuary, Second Amendment sanctuary ordinances?
Yeah, they've tried it here in different counties. Columbia County had one, and there was another county. I think Coos County was trying that. I'm not sure if they got it through or not. But ultimately, we have to look at our county sheriffs. They're politicians, and they're elected, by the people. And so, you could weigh in on them and see if you can get a response, but it's probably going to be a really political response. And I doubt it.
Some have spoken up. Some have spoken out.
Some have, but
and said we won't use resources on this.
Yeah,
but it really depends on your county.
I think the issue comes down to the permit to purchase part of it. So if they're the permitting agent, there's going to be some issues there, because if they're going to say they're not going to follow that part of it, then what's going to happen to the counties and the citizens in that county? So
yeah, my understanding is none of them said that. Most of them just said they wouldn't enforce the magazine ban.
Okay.
I interacted with the Oregon State Sheriff's Association a lot during the litigation, and they had actually stood up a program, and for folks who have taken their Utah concealed handgun license, it's a lot like that. The program they stood up. I just took my Utah class, and it was pretty similar to what was described in Measure 114. And so you'll see Multnomah County make you jump through 3 hoops, do a somersault, put you through the ringer, and then you'll see Harney County, Union County really taking it easy on you.
And frankly, I don't think anybody in Multnomah County needs a gun, so that's fine. It takes a little more effort to get. I know I'm gonna burn in hell. Gary Gerlach joined us tonight. Gary, hey, good to see you on there. There's a bunch of folks that have said hello and that follow us regularly. Thank you guys so much for following us. Dwayne Waller, I see you're on there too. I think Derek, you probably know Dwayne.
Yeah, hey Dwayne.
Yeah, Dwayne's a good dude. He is very, very active in Sutherland with their events that they do and everything else. He's a solid guy, and he's a firm believer in Second Amendment rights as we all are. So I'm going to cut real quick to about a 30-second commercial. So please stay with us if you can, and we will get right back. We're gonna kind of support our sponsors for 30 seconds, and we'll be right back with you. Thank you.
Is your 4x4 ready for the trail? Twin Peaks Off-Road is your first stop for maintenance, repairs, and custom upgrades. From differential services to winch installs, we do it all. Fast, reliable, and built for adventure. Don't wait for breakdowns in the backcountry. Call Twin Peaks Off-Road today at 541-900-0015 or visit twinpeaksoffroad.net. Keep your 4x4 off the roads and in the adventure.
Welcome back, everybody, to On the Verge. And as you see, my co-host is, I don't know where he went. I think he went to the bathroom. But I want to recognize a couple more sponsors, and then we'll get back to our topics here that we're discussing. And again, thanks everybody for joining us. But first off, I want to just real quick recognize Becky Holmes. She's a great sponsor of ours. And I always read her commercial for her because she's a great lady that doing some really good stuff with the insurance. And Oregon is a real pain in the butt right now to do any kind of insurance in. So it's that time of year again. I'm not talking about hunting season. This commercial was written during hunting season, but I'm talking about annual enrollment for Medicare and the marketplace. To find out what Medicare just did to you, give my friend Becky Holm a call. She will take the time to explain your choices and help you come to a decision that's right for you. Plans change, doctors change, the plans they accept or your medication list may have changed. Regardless of the changes, Becky is here to guide you through it. She's licensed in several states and based right here in Roseburg, Oregon. Call Becky Holm, 541-900-6001. And I just had a question for her yesterday. And I have her cell phone, so I cheated a little bit. I got to call her direct. And she was amazing. She helped me out to get me through some Medicare stuff.
You're old enough for that?
No, but my wife is.
Oh,
so yeah. So there's some stuff I just don't understand. But she was great and very helpful. So, and Trent, you have somebody here that's
I do.
Also, yeah.
I have my friend Andrew Williams with AdvoCare. Supplements that I've taken for years, and a lot of the athletes that I've worked with over the years that all take it. Feeling tired, sluggish, or just worn down from the gloomy weather or back to school grind? It's time to get your energy and confidence back. Andrew Williams with AdvoCare helps people clean away those naggy mental cobwebs, lose weight, boost energy with spark, and feel incredible again. Visit healthyhabittribe.org. That's healthyhabittribe, all one word, .org, or reach out to Andrew Williams on Facebook and start feeling amazing today.
Cool. And that stuff works. I've tried it.
Yeah.
I like this. I haven't used all of them. She gave me some samples, and I'm ready for some
Oh
more.
yeah, I take it every morning.
So anyway, also Senator Brock Smith, who is not with us tonight on the show, but is with us. I believe I saw him on there. He's watching the show. He is definitely fighting hard for our Second Amendment rights too, and he's solid on that. So he's done some great things to and a lot of times people don't understand in the background. We get these ridiculous bills like 243 and there was a couple other ones. As a Republican Party, being in the minority party in the House and in the Senate, we have to do some really ugly things behind the scenes to get some of those bills either killed, which we did kill 2 out of the 3, or modified. And we did modify 243. That's why it's not in effect, actually, I think, right now. But it's one of those things. I mean, and thank God there's still some Republicans left in the Senate and the House, or we would really be in trouble. I mean, I believe the Democrat Party would just walk all over you. Sorry, I'm not a fan of what the Democrat Party does to the state. But anyway, with all that said, Tony, I know that you have a fundraising platform that helps to raise funds to fight this. Tell us a little bit about that and how we can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so we lost our funding at the end of trial, so we've been self-funded since trial ended. So that's Court of Appeals and Supreme Court. Essentially, what that means is my boss continues to pay me even when I'm not making the firm money because I'm billing a non-existent client. But thankfully, we're most of the way funded at this point. We're getting real close. It's really important to me that we do get fully funded because, frankly, I want to prove that this works. That Oregonians will stand behind a case, and so we created a Give, Send, Go. And also we've received checks and even a ounce of gold to our office. That was interesting. Talking to that gentleman, he was very nice. And so checks, gold. No way to take crypto, but I'm sure my boss would figure it out somehow. And so Give, Send, Go. It's givesendgo.com. /state court _ stop measure 114, or you can just go, it's the pinned post on my Facebook and on my X account, I believe. You can find it there.
Thank you. Good. That's awesome. Derek, you're also part of another group too. I know when I first met you, you actually teach kids gun safety. Tell us about some of that stuff.
I do. So I'm the president of the Kids Safe Foundation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit based in Eugene, and we teach firearm safety and accident prevention to kids. And since our founding back in 2016, we reached over 30,000 kids now in 10 states. I wrote legislation here in 2019 that would authorize our program for all first graders in the public schools, and it would save lives from day one. And so, we're up there in the legislature. We're talking about meaningful legislation, solution-based legislation. I for one can recommend legislation that would work, because I know it would work. And from that, I've met some really great folks. I also run a Facebook group on Oregon Firearms Advocacy Group, where we do a lot of education, outreach, and also motivating our gun owners to be involved with this process. And it's hard. It's hard being working all day, trying to raise a family, trying to keep your head above water, and still keep up to date with what's happening up there in the legislature. I think a lot of that's by design. I think they try to do these things last minute. They try to, it's like a shell game up there. And so I try to stay in front of as best I can. And I made a lot of great folks up there that kind of keep me in the loop, so that way I can make sure that our gun owners know what's happening up there so they can get involved.
Yeah, and I said this before, but it's amazing the work you do in the House and the Capitol, whether it be in the House or the Senate. But because you're respected in there, you're able to pretty much move freely amongst all of our offices. And I know anytime I hear something that's going on that I think you need to get it to the people, I just share it with you. And I know a lot of our House representatives do, and I assume a lot of our senators do as well. I know Brock Smith does. So
yeah, as the last thing I heard was, last week I was in a meeting and they're talking about bringing back House Bill 3075 and 3076. And those are the two worst bills that we had in the last session, and they're going to try again in the short session. So I think it's really important as because we have the off time now. Right. So we should be preparing, we should be organizing, we should be rallying, preparing for that first day of the session, because it's going to be a short, quick window, and they're going to try to ram through as many things as they can.
Yeah, it's really sad. I'm going to back up. I made a statement a little bit ago that said, I don't really care for the Dem party or whatever. I want to make sure people understand something. In Douglas County, we have, obviously we have both parties, Democrats and Republicans. I would be hard pressed to find very many Democrats in Douglas County that don't support gun rights, right? I mean, we grew up hunting here. I mean, and it doesn't matter if you voted for Trump or you didn't, you have guns. I mean, Douglas County, I don't know what the count is for the amount of guns. You probably don't.
They say the average Douglas County resident has 12 to 13 guns. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. We all trust in the Constitution, and we all want our gun rights.
Right.
And frankly, so anyway, I guess to back up to my statement, I don't like what the Democrat Party is doing to the state. And when I say the Democrat Party, I'm talking about the majority party in the House. I'm talking about the Floyd Brzezinskis. I'm talking about the Crops. I'm talking about, frankly, our Speaker of the House is really weak on all this stuff, right? And I've seen this, and that's the other thing about the about politics that I think people don't understand. The majority party is beholden to their supporters. They're beholden to the SEIU unions. They're beholden to the red shirts. I don't know what they call those red shirt people, Derek. Is it Moms Against Everything or something?
Your mom's demanding some sort of action, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And then I heard, there was what is the cave people, the Citizens Against Virtually Everything, and it's like those are the people that are paying for those folks to campaign, and they're keeping them in power. And our governor's the same way. I mean, I don't know how many people actually watched the long session, but the long session was literally owned by SEIU.
Yep.
Just about every bill that had labor involved in it or anything that leaned toward that, they either pushed it. And, and they basically tell the governor, like, well, if you don't support us, we'll primary you. It's funny when you're in the minority party like we are, we don't have that problem.
Right.
Our biggest problem is we seem to fight with each other. And if we ever got over fighting with each other and we got all together and pulled the same direction, we might actually go somewhere. That's my hope. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Trent, what's going on locally with this?
I think we're seeing a lot of the questions come up, I get the questions. That's why my thought was to get these guys on to start answering what's going on with 114, 243, and obviously, these guys are the experts at it. But the other thing that I'm seeing is just the concern of this can take a state in a completely bad direction.
It's the nose of the camel under the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a buddy just came back from Chicago, and he told me flat out, Chicago's not better. He was downtown Chicago, and he said 3 days in a row they had to duck shootings.
Yeah.
And he was just there on business. That's all he was doing,
I was in Portland today and yesterday for an event, which was a great event. If you wanted to go listen to the governor bloviate, that's what happened, because she said absolutely nothing, but and not a lot of people were all that impressed with her. But anyway, what I noticed about Portland is that it's vacant.
Yep.
It's like driving into a ghost town.
Yep.
All of those businesses that used to be there, they're just gone. It's not as ugly as people think it is, as far as the vandalism and the people living on the streets. I mean, they're kind of grouped. I mean, they have, but when you drive downtown, if you want to go to Starbucks and get a coffee, good luck finding Starbucks.
Yep.
Right.
Good
luck finding anything in the bottom of those hotels that used to be just thriving. We left our car in the valet parking at the Hyatt, and I was pleasantly surprised this morning when I came out and the car was still not broken into, which, yeah, it's crazy. I think Portland has and probably Tony, you might know this. Doesn't Portland have a gun law that says you can't carry concealed downtown or something like that? I don't know.
I'm not certain on that. I know at one point they had, and I don't know if it's still the law, but you could not carry loaded in Multnomah County entirely unless you had a concealed handgun license.
Okay.
And that was for open carry, I believe. And that was Multnomah County.
Is that right?
Yeah. You had to have a valid CHL to carry a loaded gun. Yep.
Yeah. The one time I was in Portland when there was actually a shooting, and I was in this bar. Go figure, right? A Republican in a bar, but yeah, these
sounds like a joke.
I know, right? And these guys drove by, and it's like, it was late. It was probably 10 o'clock at night, and I thought it was fireworks until people started diving off the street into the bar and literally belly sliding up against the poker machines and stuff, trying to avoid whoever it was at. And they shot like 9 shots, but I think it was all just in the air. And here I am sitting there going, I don't even have my gun with me. I guess if he decides to come in the bar and shoot it up, I'll wish that he didn't. Yeah, it's Portland's the Wild West in spots. And, it's sad what's happening up there, because I used to go there, years ago, and, you can walk around on the streets and go to the bars and visit all this stuff and not worry about things like that. But now if you're lucky enough to have a car when you get back, you also might be lucky to have your wallet.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. I was in a band when I was 15, and we used to play shows in Portland, and I'd walk around Portland, just 15 years old at night, not a care in the world. And now when I go there, I avoid going there unless I have to, which is normally work related.
Yeah. Well, yesterday the governor was bloviating on how she's going to fix our financial issues in the state. And amazingly, of course, all the right, I know, and business was there. Oregon business lobby and business owners were there, and I don't think she got a lot. She didn't get a great reception. I think that people are leaving the state. Businesses are definitely leaving Portland, and that's
Well, we've lost
causing
what,
problems.
12,000 jobs since May?
Yeah.
And Intel's thinking about taking more, our largest employer in the state.
Yeah, and it's funny because what the governor will do is she'll brag about the 20,000 jobs they created, but most of those 20,000 jobs were in the healthcare industry that it's funded by the state.
Right.
So it's your tax dollars going to it. So private sector jobs have been leaving, as fast as they can. And I know we're getting a little off topic here, but I don't know where it ends. We have the Ben Bowman, who's the majority party leader, I guess. It's funny because this time of year they seem to take over our campaign messages. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, and they become Republicans or they become centered Democrats, for a while, and then once they're in power, it's like, well, we were just kidding. We're not really interested in listening to you. But
yeah, didn't the no tax on tips bill get proposed in Oregon? I think by someone on the coast, and that didn't move. And I thought for sure, since Queen Kamala had also, after Trump proposed the concept, that we might even see a working class job cut or a tax cut, and nothing.
Well, the no tax on tips is a federal thing, and it
was proposed by
locally, yeah, but
Lincoln County area Republican.
Is that Boomer, right?
It would have been
No.
Boomer. Lincoln County. Well, it could have been Dave Gomberg, but but Gomberg's a Democrat, so I doubt he would propose anything.
No, it was a Republican. It was somebody on the coast though, and they had proposed it, and I watched that one for a while, and nothing.
Well, here's an interesting thought, and this again, it really matters when you vote. The no tax on tips is a federal thing that Trump is basically going to happen, and it was part of the big beautiful bill, right? It was part of HB 1 or whatever it was. But Oregon has the ability to disconnect from the federal tax law, and that's what we're going to probably see happen in the short session. They're going to disconnect that, which means all those folks that think, wow, I got this coming, we're not going to pay taxes on tips anymore or tax on overtime, right? That was another thing. If you had some parameters, but it was $20,000 or whatever. All of that, if the Democrats disconnect us from the federal law, and I think they're going to, or at least I know they're talking, that's the talk, all of that goes away for Oregonians. We don't get to enjoy any of that.
Yep.
And frankly, the Democrats know they have to do it because they can't afford the budget as it is. And we don't even want to get into the whole transportation budget tonight because that would be a whole nother podcast. But they're running a little scared right now because they have no money. And the amazing thing about that is, well, guess what? They have no businesses left either. Businesses don't want to come here because they can't afford to, you can't get through the regulations to have a business here. And if you do, if you're lucky enough to get through the red tape and BS that gets you a business, you can never afford to stay because of all of the labor laws. They want everybody to be union, and you're going to pay top dollar, and I'm bloviating myself. So let's go back to the gun thing. There's a lot of things here. Let's see. Oregon employers have eliminated more than 11,000 jobs since the start of 2024. Yeah, that's correct. Dwayne has a comment again. If only I could. With Kotax, we are almost all on the poverty line. You're not wrong. Country boys will survive though. I mean, again, another topic for another day.
I know how to fish.
Well, I think what's really important is what we just learned going through that referendum with the no tax or the gas tax is people are rallied. We're motivated, and we've got to turn that into votes on the election, right? So we should be registering to vote. We should make sure that everything's correct. And we should be taking our friends to the polls. Like we're stuck with Measure 114 because there was 160,000 conservatives that stayed home, and we only lost by about between 20 and 25,000 votes. So it's every vote does matter. And so with the pie shrinking for us in the state because good folks are leaving the state, that's more burden falls on us and make sure that we do our part to motivate and get out and vote.
Yeah,
I will
I've never seen Oregonians activated around an issue the way guns the last couple years, and then the no tax Oregon issue. I think Oregon has had pretty lax gun laws. Um, by national standards, for especially for a blue state. You know, if you look at Washington or California, they've had it worse for a long time. Look
Yeah.
at Illinois, look at New York. I mean,
Mhm.
that states that vote similar percentages Democrat to us have much worse gun laws. And so I think we kind of went to sleep and
Mhm.
were comfortable being overtaxed and, you know, just kind of giving in. But with this more progressive turn that Oregon's taken, uh, you know, I think people are waking up, and you're going to see a lot more center uh, kind of voters voting Republican, because the party they were once voting for is sprinting away from them.
I agree. A couple comments. Eric Lindquist, he says, "Hey, we have Republican union members." He's not wrong. I don't have a problem with the union itself. I have a problem with the union leadership and where they spend their money. But the union itself has some great folks. In fact, the ones that are doing the labor are almost all conservative. I mean, they get it, right? They don't want to pay extra taxes.
Well, and there's also a big difference between public and private sector unions as well. It's the teachers unions are, I believe they spend more than any other lobby in DC, if I remember right. It might be the tax preparers, but I know it's more than health insurance companies. And so I highly doubt that spending ends at Oregon's eastern border.
Yeah. So side note, Justin, Dwayne Yunker said he might actually get on this podcast someday. He's been on it before. Hi, Dwayne. Do you have his email?
I do.
Hey, Dwayne, if you'd like to join us, we'll put you on right now. We've still got time. So I don't know if you're listening still. Hopefully you are, but I'm going to have Justin send you a link because everybody wants to hear Dwayne. And I think he has an opinion on guns. I'm pretty sure. As an ex, I think it was a drill sergeant.
He was in two different services, wasn't
Yeah, I think he was actually. I think he was in our maybe. I don't want to guess because then he'll be mad at me if I guess wrong.
he? You know, one of the things that people got to remember when they take away your guns, that's the first step of getting rid of the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
You know, I was fortunate to sit with a general at a NRA ILA banquet here in Roseburg years ago. And he's a constitutional expert, and that's exactly what he told me. He says they're coming after your guns to get rid of your inalienable human rights. And
we can look at what's happening right now. There's a ballot initiative. It's IP 28 that's trying to do away with hunting and livestock in the state. And what they'll do is they'll do this under the guise of gun control, because what they'll say is they'll ban hunting, and then they'll come after and say, well, now that you don't need your hunting rifles because there's no hunting left in the state, so let's go ahead and surrender the rifles. So it's just a death by 1,000 paper cuts is what it is.
I think ultimately and again, I've said this before, I don't think it's a written policy. I think ultimately the policy that the Democrat Party wants to see is all of us to, especially in rural Oregon, they don't want us here. They would like rural Oregon to be a park, and they want or whatever, and they really want to control the masses by putting you in apartment houses, making you drive electric cars or take electric buses to get where you need to be. We're kind of get on the train. We're kind of a nuisance to them. So, I mean, again, it's not written. I mean, you know, that's a little bit of a, I want to say stereotypical statement, but the fact is, I think it's just a direction that they want to go. I know they'd like to take over the utilities, because once they control the power and the water and the gas, they control your life.
Right.
Unless you live in the country and you have a wood stove and a septic system and pump your own water out of the ground. And then, well, of course, we saw that they want to take your wells away from you, or at least control what you can and can't do. So, do we have luck with Dwayne?
I sent him an email.
Okay. Well, he must not be watching anymore. I'll send him a text, but let's see. I also got a comment from Commissioner Freeman. Bring back House Bill 3006. We passed two-second amendment sanctuary ordinance. That's true. Douglas County we're pretty red down here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think our sheriff will enforce any kind of gun control. In fact, I know our sheriff personally, and I know he won't. But Trent, go ahead and take over for a second here. I'm going to send a text.
Yeah,
out.
once you go on into Oregon State Police territory, they will be enforcing it. Especially the gentleman they have heading up that fine organization now. He will certainly be enforcing it.
Was it by the barrel of a gun?
Yeah, he's been known to do a thing or two once or twice.
Yeah.
That's kind of terrifying.
People think this is kind of crazy. I was reading an article today. One of the reasons the Japanese didn't go beyond Honolulu was the Pacific Northwest was the activation of the American hunter. And great article. I wish I would have kept it. I got interrupted and I ended up losing it. But the Japanese literally feared coming to the Pacific Northwest. And it was funny because Representative Boyce talked about this on his river trip, how his dad and his uncle hid under a bridge in case a submarine came up the Rogue River there at Gold Beach. And they were armed with 30-30s.
Well, so we got into that in the ballot measure 114 trial. Oregon is the only state to be attacked during World War II. We were shelled. It's also the only state to experience deaths during World War II on mainland. Those were balloons that carried bombs and killed some picnickers. And then also Oregon had the Oregon State Guard. And so these were civilians who were expected to bring their then modern firearms, certainly so defined large capacity magazines, to defend the state from foreign invasion. So not only were the Japanese scared of it, we were prepared to do so. And I believe it was every man up to age 60. It was 45 or 60. I can't remember which. What every able-bodied man was supposed to have a firearm and be ready to defend their home and their community. And so, that's as recent as I've interviewed World War II vets. There still are World War II vets. That's how recent this history is. So, the government wants to talk about the government side of the case wants to talk about how much firearms have changed since 1859. Well, how much have they changed since 1940? Because it's not that much.
Right.
No.
Well, and I think what they're trying to do is they're also trying to move the goalposts. Like they had a bill, Senate Bill 947, that was proposed by James Manning that would redefine the term militia as somebody that is wearing camouflage and full kit, which I went toe to toe with him because he didn't understand the term militia, which is able-bodied and properly equipped. That's everybody's the militia. That's what these people don't understand. They're the militia, whether they like to admit it or not. It's anybody that's willing to step forward and do what needs to be done to protect the state.
They don't live in our reality. They
know.
live in a different reality. And frankly, they're not teaching it in schools. Kids don't know a thing about World War II. They're not teaching that, and they're not teaching about the Nazis and what happened. They're not teaching any of that stuff anymore. Heck, they don't even teach about Vietnam, other than it was a bad war and we were bad for doing it or whatever. And then that's about it. I've asked. I do visit a lot of high schools and we do some government classes and government work, and it's amazing to me that some of the high school kids can't even tell you how many stars there are on the flag. And why there's 50 stars on the flag, and I just go, what are we doing? Of course, I don't need to tell you guys that we're ranked, I think, number 48 in the country for schools. But
I think we slid all the way to the bottom.
Did we slide to the bottom?
I think we slid to the
But
bottom.
our spending on schools is higher than I think any other state.
Right.
And again, I keep wanting to go back to the ODOT thing. I mean, we just lose $1 billion. ODOT just misplaces $1 billion in their budget, and nobody cares. They're not held accountable for it. It's accountability is a huge thing that we're missing in our government. And aside from the whole gun issues and everything else, if we just could get back to accountability, it would change a lot. But yeah. Brad Bainbridge, let's see. It's not just able-bodied. I have a hell of a field of fire from here. Yes, Brad, we know where you live. And I don't like to make threats on online, so I won't say but I have a similar opinion. from where I live.
Well, he gets the sediment, so that's good.
Let's see, Ashley Roachcliffe. In 1975 through 1977, Roseburg High School taught gun safety. I was there. Yes. That's they should be doing it today. I actually had a bill that I tried to run, and I never could get it out of committee, get it into committee. They would have taught gun safety to kids, in school.
Well, did you take it in grade school?
Yeah. I took it
So
when I was 12,
1975, we had hunter safety, gun safety required courses for grade schoolers.
yeah. Well, mine was you had to have it before you get your hunting license.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And frankly, I will never forget the video of the two kids carrying the 22 across the field and going shooting, and the 22 was laid on the fence and it shot his buddy and killed his buddy. It's like that stuck in my mind at 12 years old. I'm like, I got to be safe with my gun.
Yep.
And my guns have never killed anybody that I'm aware of. And certainly I've never killed anybody with a gun. But they don't care. It's evidently guns have a mind of their own, according to the Democrats. So anyway, we are winding down here. So, and I'm bloviating at this point. We still have quite a few viewers. I'm not seeing a lot of questions, which kind of surprises me because after this is over, I'm sure I'll get 100 questions.
Right.
But let's see if we get any more here in the next few minutes. And with that, Derek, you want to close? You want to talk about anything that your message you'd like to get out there?
I think it's just important to, obviously show support for Tony. He's done a lion's share of this work and really is. Yesterday, I had a little post that went kind of crazy on me on Facebook. It's about the 3-year anniversary of us not having Measure 114 go into law. And I think it's really, really important as we get him flush. So if you guys can donate to kind of help support him, make sure we get that bill paid off. And that way we're in a position when the next one comes up, we're going to be ready to fight again. And, if Measure 114 does go into effect, no matter, we don't know, it's hypothetical at this point. But there's some other legislation that we possibly could go after. But it's important that we make sure that we if we can help out, we help out. And, we've enjoyed 3 years, 3 years of no restriction when it comes to this stuff. So we've, I've benefited from it, I know. And so I think it's just important that we make sure we're 100% whole going into no matter what happens next, and also getting involved and making sure people are ready to, fight in the short session. It's going to be quick, and they're going to try to come at us in multiple angles and directions. And so it's important that we're understanding who our reps are, who our senators are, send them an email, give them a phone call, obviously reaching out to their staffers, be professional, calm, collected, but, build that rapport. And that's going to help you in the long run, because that when you want to make an appointment, you're going to be more likely to get that appointment. And so I'm going to start doing some more like educational type stuff to kind of get people ready for the short session. And I'll be probably doing that in the next couple of weeks, rolling that out. And so people can feel like they're ready to go on day one.
Absolutely. I see here, Gary Gerlach. I am sorry I did not ask your question, and for some reason I can't find it. Put it in the comments again, and we'll ask it here before the end of the podcast. Tony, you have anything you want to talk about to close?
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing for me is get out and vote. Put pressure on your legislators, of course. Derek can help you do that, but the thing that's been disappointing me is seeing all the comments about, well, we can't win with vote by mail. We can't win. There's shenanigans, and maybe there are shenanigans. Maybe we can't win with vote by mail, but it literally costs you nothing except for a trip to your mailbox, and you tried. And if we lose and that 160,000 conservatives don't stay home, then okay. But you can't stay home and then say, well, my vote wouldn't have mattered. We saw elections in 24 decided by tens of votes, I believe is how close that one got. It was, I think it had reached 10, but maybe there are shenanigans, but it costs you nothing. It's really easy to do. I'd like to see the vote by mail policy change here in Oregon personally, but it's so easy to do, and it's so important, and lawyers and judges get involved with laws when legislators suck, and a lot of our legislators, we know which side they're on, suck. But how did they get there? Because we voted them in either by sitting our butts on the couch or by casting a vote. And so sitting your butt on the couch is a vote, and it's a vote for everything to stay exactly the same how it is. Let them tax us. Let them put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Let them do whatever they want to do. Let them take your guns, and you know that's how. If anybody listening is part of that 160,000, that's how you voted in 2022. You voted for ballot measure 114. So I really want to see that. I don't plan on leaving this state ever, and so I'd like to see it change. So I for one am gonna stay in the fight, and thank you to everybody who's been helping me do that through donating.
Yeah, amen to that. I don't have a reverse gear, so I only fight forward. And I hear about this end vote by mail thing, and you gotta, end vote. I agree with you. It's like, and yeah, I would like to see, I would like to see it change. I do believe there are reasons to vote by mail. I believe if you're handicapped, I believe there's, it's not convenient for you to leave, if you live out in the middle of the stick, whatever those reasons may be. The problem is that I don't believe I think our core problem is the voter rolls.
Yeah.
I think what we
Clean
need
up
to
the voter rolls.
we need to clean up the voter rolls, and I think that alone would it will tell you the truth, right? I don't know if we did vote, if we did away with vote by mail, I don't really know that it would change the outcome of the elections. It might not. I think you're right, Tony. I think Republicans got to get off their ass and go out and vote. And I could tell you stories about Republicans that don't. Trent, you have
Oh, here's the proof. The election this last May, 13% of Douglas County voted.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had people complain, and I asked them, did you vote? No. And I just told them, shut up.
Yeah.
You didn't vote, shut up. A year ago in the presidential election,
Yeah.
Douglas County was one of the lowest turnouts in the state. We have enough voters here. Get this. In the third quarter of this year, Douglas County has 746 new Republicans.
Yeah.
In the last quarter.
Yeah. That's a big number with 110,000 citizens. Yeah.
Yeah. Turn out and vote. And I ride this horse every week. And if you don't go vote and you come to me and argue, I'm just going to tell you to shut up, because you don't have a dog in the fight. You have a dog in the fight. If you fill out the paper, you take it down to the courthouse and turn it in.
Yeah. And it's funny. We look at the voter rolls because when, we're running our campaigns, we look at who voted and who didn't. I got a lot of friends that bitch all the time and they don't vote. And it just pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like, you guys really, but you got to vote.
I have an app on my phone.
Yeah. Since I said we need questions, there's been a flood of them come in, as you guys have seen. But this is from Ashland. I want to. This has come in from YouTube. Can you talk about how the reduced recidivism? I've noticed daily police reports being consumed by parole and probation caseloads, pushing the burden on Oregon small cities. That might be a question for Tony.
I'm not a criminal attorney.
I think the most egregious part of 243 was the preemption part, which restricts law-abiding citizens to carry concealed in certain public buildings if they're properly noted. That is, our CHL holders, and there's been studies that have been done on this, are the most law-abiding part of our society. So, could you answer me? I'm not the most intelligent guy here, but how does restricting the rights of the most law-abiding citizens in our state affect gun crimes in a positive way? It doesn't. It's all, they want to take your guns. They're coming for your guns. What are you going to do to stop it? I guess.
That's a question nationwide. Thank God we ended up with a president that actually is on our team. But we were headed down a path of with Biden's administration, and I don't think he knew what he was doing because he wasn't running the show. But we were headed down a path to try and take all your guns away from you. And honestly, I see people in Douglas County. I see guys. I'll be in Costco and I'll see somebody carrying a sidearm, and it's like I want to go up to them and say, "Hey, thanks, man." Right? They don't know that I've got one too, but I just don't show mine.
Right.
But it doesn't bother me a bit. But it sure irritates some people. I mean, they see somebody carrying a sidearm and immediately they're offended by it. It's like that's not how I feel about it.
Yeah.
If you're carrying a sidearm, there's a good chance that well, for one, if you're showing it, there's a good chance if something did happen, you're on my team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. A lot more questions here.
Well, and on that too, back to the voting issue a little bit. The other comment I get, so I get voting doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything, and I get from my cold dead hands, and I can't understand why the from my cold dead hands people are also the won't walk to their mailbox people. It's much easier to vote out some bad legislators than it is to fight the government. I mean, maybe let's start by having all 160,000 conservatives who didn't vote in 22 vote in 22. Maybe that would be a reasonable first step before we start talking about a bleeding revolution. That it's I'm just and I'm with you guys and I'm on your team and I have plenty of firearms and I'm closely approaching the Douglas County average and it's I take it very seriously and it's an important right, but if you won't vote I don't understand you.
Yeah. I want to say a couple things too, and we'll start winding down. But Representative Ed Deal, and I'm part of the Oregon Freedom Coalition myself, but Representative Deal really put together a coalition of captains and signature collectors to get this referendum on the tax bill on the ballot. And that in itself was amazing work. It's never been done before. 150,000 signatures in less than 2 weeks. We met the minimum, I think, within a week, under 10 days. And I think that's really Oregonians starting to speak up. And I'm hoping that momentum carries through. And I'm hoping that, we can get behind something, when we see some of these crazy, you can't put everything on a referendum, but you know what, if those same people, and now we have the list now, we know who those people are, and we can vote people out of office that they're doing a bad job. That's my hope.
Yep.
We'll go from there. Question for all of you: who's going to be the next governor? That's a tough one, I know. You don't have to answer it, but
a Republican.
There you go.
Yeah.
I personally, and this is no endorsement yet or anything like that, but I've been quite excited with Danielle Bethel. She's a Marion County commissioner, and I live in Polk County, so right next to each other, city of Salem. I've talked to her before, and I think she's great. I've talked to Christine Drazen as well. She's great. I don't think that Dudley has announced, but I think he might. And he hell of a ball player. I was too young to vote for him in 2010. So I mean, I think we've got 3 really great options there. But I'm just hoping it's somebody in a red jersey for once. I was born in 93, so I haven't seen a Republican governor of this state.
Oh, heck, I was already out of high school by the time you were born. What do you think, Derek?
I'm still keeping my cards close to my chest. I'm evaluating. I don't know what I want to do. I mean, obviously, we need a change, and I'm going to support whoever is that candidate. I'm not sure who the candidate will be, but I'm still interviewing. I guess trying to figure out who I want to support, and I feel that gun owners, we got to do better, right? There's enough of us that we have to make our voices be heard because we do have power. And there's power in numbers. And so, and one thing about our Republicans is there's no such thing as a perfect candidate, but there's a candidate that can win. And we always lose sight of that. We always want that perfect candidate, but in reality, there's always a perfect candidate, but they're not going to win. And so we have to vote for the one that can win. And so I don't know, that's a challenge for some because everybody just wants their perfect candidate, but in reality, it doesn't happen in Oregon politics.
Yeah, it's very tough. What's your thought, Trent? You're the leader of the Republican Party here.
Well, I can't endorse until the primaries because of our bylaws. I do, I've met all of them that, most of them that are running already, and I'm with you, Derek. Let's just get a red jersey going and let's just everybody get behind it and forget if your candidate's a square and fits in a round hole. let's get a red jersey in there. You know,
Yeah.
Virgil's been preaching this since day one. You know, we get one governor, 31 senators, right? No, 31
House,
reps
yeah.
or 16 senators in any combination or all three. All this goes away.
Yeah, we changed the whole.
Well,
You know-
and one thing we have to realize is that red jersey's the veto. You know,
Yep.
so they can do whatever they want in the legislature. If we have the power of the veto, there's nothing that they can pass.
Yep.
And so this is 3D chess.
Yeah. Here's my thought. I've had Danielle Bethel on my show, I think twice.
Mhm.
Amazing lady,
Mhm.
has a wonderful message.
Not afraid to call a troll.
No,
a troll.
and
Loved it.
she definitely called out a troll, and
Yeah.
I was like, "You go, girl." I have the utmost confidence that she would make a great governor. I have served with Drazen, so now Senator Drazen, I was on her leadership team for last year, and I have the utmost confidence in her that she would make a good governor as well. I do not know Chris Dudley, so I can't really make a judgment either way. But right now, as I see it, there's two viable candidates that are coming down to the, and again, we're a long ways off from the primary, but there's two viable candidates that have entered the race. Right now we have, I don't know, there's like 12 or 13 people that are signed in, I think, or to run. I'd like to see that number dwindle down to the 2 or 3 or however many it is. Because I think when they get on the debate stage, and of course most radio stations and television stations that'll bring them up will say you got to have $1 million in the bank, or we're not interested in even letting you on. But I think it's important that when those times come, we look at the serious candidate for whoever that might be.
Right.
Now, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and say this tonight, and we have a pretty good viewer following. I will tell anybody that wants to run for governor, they're welcome to come on my podcast, and we're going to ask you those questions. And you may not like it.
Right.
If you're a Democrat, you're probably not going to like my questions, but we're going to ask those hard questions, and we're only going to accept the truth, what comes out of you. So I have invited Christine Drazen on my show. She's agreed to come on. She just hasn't made the time. She's busy campaigning in counties that and that's the other thing that irritates me about when people are running for governor. She's going to be, they're busy campaigning in counties that are with more population. They're pretty sure they got this one in the bag. But I'm not sure, in a primary, I'm not sure that who has it in the bag.
Right.
So anyway, that's about as far out on the limb as I think I'll go with that. So
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, guys, thanks for your help tonight and your support for our Second Amendment rights more than anything. And it's been amazing working with Tony. This is my first time to get to meet you, but
thank you. And sorry about the
Pleasure to
blunder.
meet you.
yeah, but
Oh, you're good.
you're doing amazing work, and Derek is doing the behind the scenes work in the
Yeah.
house, and we need more Dereks out there.
Yeah. I follow Derek on Facebook, man. I love your stuff. I watch
Thank
it
you.
all the time, the gun training stuff.
Yeah.
My granddaughter's 10 years old, and I was letting her watch it with me the last time she was over.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wish I had more.
Yes. It's really blown up. I think last month we reached 19 million people through my Facebook page, which
Yeah.
is pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been wild. It's global now. So that's cool.
Well, it's only a matter of time, Derek, before you're going to have a spot somewhere in government. We just haven't figured out which spot it's going to be.
I have one currently, actually. It's on the outside. It's on the outside looking in.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You're pretty well thought of in the House. So I don't even know who your senators and your representatives are.
I got Manning and Prozansky.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you got the worst. That's great.
Actually, I got Julie Fahey. Yeah, she's my. Oof.
So you got the leader of the disaster that we call a state.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Is she still in power after the way she botched everything?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, actually, I'm surprised that they haven't. Of course, we haven't started session yet, so they, will vote at the beginning first. Well, right during what do they call it? Not legislative days, but we'll configure everything before session actually starts, and they may very well vote her out. I don't know. It would be Bowman, I think, would be the second choice, or actually, I would like to see Representative Gomberg become the speaker if we have to have a Democrat as a speaker. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. So let's see.
Funny, the only House rep who doesn't call me back is my House rep, Paul Evans. So, Paul Evans, if you're watching, call me back. He was a teacher of mine at Chemeketa too. So, I know you. We're old friends. Call me back.
It's funny. There are some Democrats that I actually get along with, and Paul's one of them.
Yeah.
And he literally came out in the last session and said, "Look, I'm seriously considering switching parties because of this gun control legislation that you guys are considering," which helped.
But then he voted for 243.
He did, but a modified
It took
version.
some prodding.
Yeah, but they helped us kill, was it 3075 and 3076, which were terrible bills. And if those come back, oh my God. The other side of that coin is the governor has to win a race, and she's going to be that she owns every bit of this ridiculousness. So if they bring those back in short session, we need to just make her wear it around her neck. That's just what needs to happen. Alex Page says Lane County does have the worst reps, and you're not wrong. Although Representative Lively is a pretty moderate Democrat, he's also announced that he's not running again for his office, and I think I hope we pick that seat up. I think we can. I think he has some of Lane County. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, I have taken up plenty of your time tonight. Thank you for joining us again, and thank you for everybody who's watching us and following us. We have a huge following now, and it's amazing, and we are getting the message out. This is a conservative podcast in Southern Oregon, and that's what we need to do, and that's what we're going to do. And if anybody would like to contact us via email or for that matter, go on to our social media sites or whatever and ask questions, we're always available for that. And again, I'll put the invite out there. Anybody's running for governor that wants to come on our podcast and tell everybody why they should vote for you. The primaries are coming up, so you have your opportunity. You can do it remote. So I'll leave it at that. So with that said, guys, thank you again, and we are going to close for the night. And thank you for all of our watchers, our followers. Please like and follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and everywhere you listen to your podcasts. And have a great evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Is your 4x4 ready for the trail? Twin Peaks Off-Road is your first stop for maintenance, repairs, and custom upgrades. From differential services to winch installs, we do it all. Fast, reliable, and built for adventure. Don't wait for breakdowns in the backcountry. Call Twin Peaks Off-Road today at 541-900-0015 or visit twinpeaksoffroad.net. Keep your 4x4 off the roads and in the adventure.